Hello and welcome back to another episode, of Journeys Abroad. I'm William Moore, a member of SASAB, the Study Abroad Student Advisory Board. There we go. We love our acronyms here. And I am here with Greer, who will take the opportunity to introduce herself and her program.
Hi, I'm Greer Bateman, and I studied abroad on the Goa Bengaluru study abroad trip to India. We studied religious studies and art history.
And so what Greer did was one of William and Mary's summer study abroad programs, as opposed to some of the other people we've had on the show, which have done mostly the semester study abroad program. So it's actually a little bit different. Will give us a bit of insight into that. So Greer, describe for us, what was the academic environment like? What did you learn?
Yeah. The first 10 days we stayed at the National Law School in Bangalore, and we did a 10-day crash course kind of in public policy and Indian culture. So students at the law school who are studying public policy kind of organized this for us and led discussions and brought in guest speakers that had a theme each day for the first 10 days that we were in India. So it was a really good way to kind of introduce us to that. So it was about 10 public policy students and then 10 of us, including my professor. And then the rest of the trip, we were in Goa, and we had a professor from the Goa School of Architecture, and then our professor, Professor McLaughlin, taught his Temples and Festivals class. So that was in a classroom space that we had at the Goa International Center, and that class and those were a bit more free form, and we would go out on field trips and kind of explore the environment, because a lot of what the temple class was surrounded around was temple spaces and worship. So we would go and participate and then also see architecture. And then same with the architecture class, we would go to churches and cathedrals, because Goa was a Portuguese colony for about 400 years, and a very Catholic country brought in a lot of influence to that really small region of India, because they were only in that space. So it's kind of a really small island of Catholicism in India. So we talked about like those influences there.
So you also mentioned that you did a little bit of traveling to various religious sites and locations. Yeah. Can you describe maybe some of the locations you went to and what you saw there?
Yeah. Well, when we first went to Bangalore, we would go to a local temple, a Shiva temple, every day, and we would just do the puja ritual. And that was just kind of a local temple, just to kind of get us acclimated to like what we would be seeing everywhere. But our biggest trip to religious sites, we did a 5-day excursion to Hampi, Badami, and Padatakal, which are old, very ancient temples that most of them were Shiva temples, but there was other affiliations as well. Like Badami had a Jain temple as well, and Badami was like in caves and stuff like that, so it was really cool. So we did like really go out into this pretty, in my terms, remote area, because we would interact with people who were really on pilgrimage there. So it was really interesting to interact with Indian people who were going to these sites as part of their religious experience. So yeah, we did that for 5 days and just kind of explored. And what Professor McLaughlin wanted us to do while we were there was record the sites. So we would use our phones and make these like 3D images, not 3D, 360 images. So we would use our phones and like go all the way around this whole space and record like the wall sculptures and things like that, so that there would be documented visual imagery, so people can. So if I go on Google Maps, like you can find my like documentation of it. And I got an email the other day that said like over 200 people have viewed my image now. So I feel like it maybe changed, maybe it made a difference in someone's experience, but it was really cool.
That sounds pretty cool, and a very, I guess not unusual, but innovative way to use technology in the classroom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or rather not in the classroom. We talked a little bit about the program itself and the professor. How much opportunity did you get to interact with the natives in India, the local Indians, as it were?
Yeah, absolutely.
Learn from them about their culture.
Yeah, so especially our first 10 days while we were in India with the public policy students, that was extremely immersive. They would take us places, and we fostered really strong friendships for the first 10 days there. and their program is really centered around public speaking, and like they were so eloquent and like just like really engaging, and it really reflected in their personalities, because they just like wanted to talk to us all the time and super inviting, and they would take us, like I said, they would take us places, and even if they didn't have to, they would tag along to go places. So we really got an idea of what their life was like as students, and things like that. And then just in general, I would say, like, I can't speak for the whole country, but everyone I met while I was in India was extremely hospitable. And I think a lot of it is reflected through their religion. Like in Hinduism, there's this philosophy of treating everyone that enters your house like they could be a god, because you might not know. And it particularly stood out to me when we went to a Murtiwala's house in Goa. A Murtiwala is someone who makes the sculptures for ritual. So like a Murti is like the god inhabits the sculpture. And a wala just means maker. So, and like they like put out all this food. We were there for like 15 minutes, so they put out all this food. They made us like fresh lime sodas, and it was just so hospitable. I was like shocked at how amazing it was, because I just had never like interacted with something like that. And what was really special is that they had their little boy come and recite some of one of the sacred texts to us, because a lot of what is emphasized in Hinduism is like knowing certain texts and like by heart. And I don't remember if it was the Ramayana or the Bhagavad Gita, but he like recited it and knew it by heart, and he was really small and it was really cute. So everyone was just so hospitable. And when we went to the like the more remote sites at Badami and Hampi and whatnot, we were some of like the first Americans a lot of people had interacted with, because some people were coming from even more remote places to go on pilgrimage, and it was just so special, because they were just so interested in what we were like, and even if they didn't speak the same language as us, we could really interact with them just through like, you know, other communication. And people would just like hand me their babies to take pictures with them, like this like American girl with like green blue eyes and brown hair. They just pull out their camera, and like I would have their baby. And I think I'm on some like holiday cards or something like that, or like family scrapbooks or something. But yeah, somewhere in India, I'm on a printed photo with someone's baby.
That's pretty funny. So for kind of the last part here, since we are reaching the end of it, what would you say is one story or event or whatever that you're like, wow, this really would never have occurred unless I had done like a study abroad or something of that nature?
I think, I have a great one. When we were in Bangalore, like I said, we would have like a speaker or an organized event for each class that would cover a different topic. We had a day where we talked about forced labor and just like pensioned labor. I forget what it's called, but it's basically the prospect of an indentured servant in India. I'm blanking on the name right now, but we got to meet some of the laborers, and it was just the most powerful experience, because some of them are having to work for no pay or very little pay for a debt that's the equivalent of about $25 US. And they've been working for years to pay it off. And we met with them, and they like sang this song, like this that it was kind of like I don't know, like a group effort. They just all knew the words, and like there was music and chanting, and it was just so beautiful. It was like, I don't know what it was. I didn't know what it meant or anything, because obviously I don't speak the language, but just the energy in the space was so tangible. Like it just like, it brought people to tears, because it was just like so palpable. And they shared their stories with us, and we had a translator, so we got to hear a bit about like the struggles of living in what would be classified as modern day slavery, and just learning a lot about and how lucky you are, and like just it really just taught me a lot about the endurance of human spirit. And I don't think, one, I was completely oblivious to this issue that's going on in India, and then second, I just wouldn't have encountered such a profound experience in the United States, I don't think so.
Oh, very cool. So would you say that overall you would recommend study abroad?
Oh, yes, absolutely. You should go. I've gone to, I went to Australia as well, a very different experience, but I would recommend really getting out of your comfort zone and just challenging your notion of the world. And if you think you might not be like, I think for me, I really had to like push myself because I didn't know anything about India or Hinduism or anything like that, which I would have been studying. And I did it anyway. And I think that was really rewarding. So.
Alrighty. Well, that sounds like a ringing endorsement to me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. As I mentioned, this was William Moore with Greer talking about her study abroad in India. We have other episodes from other areas of the world. If you want to listen and have an idea on what other study abroad opportunities are available. We are a podcast that is done by SASAB, but paid for by the Reeve Center. So we get to talk to them. We get to put them on the end here. And we hope you'll listen to more and do a study abroad if you get the opportunity. Thanks for listening. These podcasts are based on students' individual experiences. The statements and opinions expressed in the podcasts and subsequent comments do not represent the official position or policy of the College of William & Mary. In the spirit of community and conversation, comments are allowed and are encouraged. However, the college reserves the right to remove any comments deemed inappropriate, offensive, or not on topic.